In this video, I'm going to show you my 3 favorite phone photography hacks that we can also apply to DSLR and mirrorless cameras. What's up, friends? My name is Pi, aka Born Uncreative, and welcome to SLR Lounge. This is your place for no-nonsense photography education with a little bit of nonsense. Now, we just passed 300,000 of you on TikTok, and to celebrate, here are 3 of my favorite photography hacks, and I'm going to talk about applying them from phone to DSLR to mirrorless, whatever you got, okay? So hack number 1, use reflections to conceal unwanted objects. So in this first scene, you're gonna notice against the left side, we have that light switch and it just looks nasty. So we can conceal the light switch while also adding visual interest by creating a reflection. And get this, you can create a portable reflection anywhere with just your phone. So look, let's talk about it from the standpoint of using a phone first. So to create a reflection, grab someone else's phone. It could be friends, could be an enemy's, whoever's next to you, just grab their phone. You're gonna bring it right up to your lens and you're gonna create a reflection. Now we can hold the phone however we'd like. If you're shooting a vertical image, it's a little bit easier to rotate the phone like this and create your reflection underneath than trying to kind of line it up from here or try to hold it upside down. But use that second phone to create your reflection. Now shot on the iPhone, here's what this final image looks like. And not only have we concealed the object, but we've created a much more interesting image. In this second scene, we're doing the exact same thing. This time I'm rotating the phone so I can hold the other phone underneath it, and then we create a reflection for the abstract landscape. Now let's translate this to a DSLR or mirrorless. The same trick works, only this time you don't need a second phone, you're just gonna use your phone. So simply bring your phone right up to the DSLR to create a reflection anywhere you would like or conceal anything that you want. If you're a photographer, it's likely you already have an ND filter. I actually like using ND filters for this effect just because it gives you a little bit more reflection space, a little more working space for it. Okay, hack number 2 is long exposures. And on a DSLR or mirrorless, you might say that this really isn't a hack more than it is just a technique. Call it whatever you want. But on a phone, a lot of people don't realize that if you turn on live photo on your iPhone, any live photo that you take a picture of, well, you can swipe up and get to a hidden menu of effects. And underneath that, one of those effects is long exposure. So really, all you need is just an iPhone that can shoot live photo, and you got this. If you have an Android device, I would look up online and see if it's possible to do a long exposure shot with your Android device. Now, the trick to a long exposure on both DSLR as well as mirrorless and your phone is to stabilize the camera, okay? So we need to get the camera either somewhere where it's not gonna move. You can brace it against something or you can use a tripod. If you're an enthusiast or a pro-level photographer, the Peak Design Travel Tripod is fantastic. It's a great quality tripod to invest in. But if you're just shooting pictures with your phone, a $300, $400 tripod may not make sense. So just hop onto Amazon and pick up a $20 stand or tripod that'll work for your phone. Once the camera is stabilized on a DSLR or mirrorless, you're gonna slow the shutter speed and you're gonna compensate by closing down the aperture to reduce light as well as lowering the ISO to get to the right exposure. For the water shot that you see with the iPhone, that's probably equivalent to like a 5-second to 10-second shutter on your DSLR or mirrorless camera. For the shot of kind of the cars going by in the scene where essentially the iPhone is erasing everything, well, that's going to be equivalent to probably like a 20 to 30-second shutter on a mirrorless or DSLR. So the way that the phone and the DSLR are kind of capturing these long exposure shots, it does differ a little bit. On the phone, it's going to be a relatively short duration, but because it's blending all of these different shots from essentially this kind of part still, part video in a live photo, it almost looks like the exposure is longer than it actually is. So on the phone, it's a quick snap, but it ends up looking as if the shutter was open for 10 to 20 seconds on a DSLR or mirrorless. But you can start getting these cool kind of long exposure effects starting at like, just depending on how quick the object is moving, well, a half second and beyond. So at a half second, that's kind of a perfect place to start for, say, traffic or people that are walking by the frame. One additional bonus tip here is if you're using a DSLR or mirrorless, I would use a shutter release or the 2-second timer to make sure that you're not shaking the camera, just pressing down the shutter. Hack number 3 is to grab a prism. Now, if you've been around the photography world for the past few years, I'm sure you already know this trick. Prisms are wonderful for being able to create reflections, flare objects, just adding interest to a DSLR or mirrorless shot. but they can also be used with your phone, and specifically for this technique, you'll actually need a phone. See, what you're gonna do is actually bring the Prism directly to cover up whatever lens you're using on your phone, and you're gonna cover it entirely with the triangle end. When you do this, you get this really cool kaleidoscope effect, as you can see here. Will this work on a standard DSLR? No, because the triangle is not going to actually fully cover the lens. You would need a very large prism to do this, and that's probably just not practical. So this is really a phone-specific trick, and you can create incredible images. Now, to get your subject sharp, what you're going to do is actually lock focus and exposure first, then bring the prism into the frame. So on an iPhone, press and hold on the screen when you see the AEAF lock, adjust your exposure as desired, and then bring the prism in, and your focus will stay where it's at. Compose your shot, and this is what you get from it. Prisms are a photographer favorite, but hopefully this is a new and unique way of using them for you. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and as a quick heads up, we have finished filming and are prepping to release Creative Photography 101. Every image that you see here was actually shot with an iPhone, and this is the first course dedicated solely to just thinking creatively, how to create incredible images with the camera that everybody has, your phone, although you can translate all the lessons to your DSLR as well. So check that out. We will link it up below. In the meanwhile, I'd love for you to like the video. It helps us out tremendously when you guys like and engage on the video. It helps us with the YouTube search algorithm. And in the meanwhile, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys back here next week. Peace.